Coach Cody here from Marandola Martial Arts, and today we are going to go over some fundamentals from half guard. I like to use half guard myself. There's a lot of advantages to it on the top and on the bottom. So today we're going to focus more on the bottom. And remember, when we're going over these things, even though we're in the gi and we're going over jiu-jitsu techniques, because I'm an MMA coach as well, I always have in the back of my mind striking aspects as well. Positioning your head in certain places when you're on the bottom half guard can really stop you from getting ground and pounded to death. The only thing really that exposes is the back of your head and neck and your spine, and we all know that it's illegal to strike there. It's called rabbit punching. So you don't really have to worry about getting hit in the brainstem, hopefully, if the person that you're competing against has any kind of decorum to them at all. So I'm going to bring in one of my students, Elliot, here. A half guard, for those of you that are beginning, is when you only have one of their legs trapped, okay? And it's above the knee. If it's below the knee, so say you pull your knee out, and I've just got his ankle trapped, that's actually quarter guard. So we're gonna focus on half guard today, okay? So one of the first fundamentals when it comes to half guard is I don't wanna be flat on my back. That's where he wants me to be. I don't want to be flat here. But a lot of times when you get in this position, you end up starting there because the person's going to try to pummel you to the ground. So he's got good head control. He's got good pressure here. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to create some space. Jiu-jitsu is all about managing space. Okay? I need to create space so that I can move. I'm not going to be able to do anything from here. Okay? So one of the first things that I like to do is get what's called a cross face, meaning I'm going to sneak my hand through, put my hand on his shoulder, and I think this is the radial side of my wrist is going to be pushing right into his neck. So if he tries to put head pressure down, he can actually choke himself here. Not saying that he's going to choke himself out, but it's going to be really uncomfortable for him. My other hand is going to kind of go on the back of the shoulder or on the lat here. That way I'm pushing at one point on their body. So what I want to do is I want to push the person away so I can come up onto my side here. Okay, I've got my elbow tucked into my body, not out here. Okay, and I'm keeping the person away with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swing my arm, we call it swimming our arm under for an underhook. So for those of you that are new, if I reach up and over his arm like this, that's an overhook. If I reach under his arm, that's an underhook. So I want to get an underhook here. So I've pushed him away. I'm going to swing my arm around and I'm going to grab right onto his belt. Okay? Grab him right onto his belt. In no-gi, just hooking around his hips. Okay? My other hand is going to go underneath this leg here. Okay? So I'm going to show first what's called deep half guard. So I'm going to go underneath here. So even if I stop here, say I can't get to deep half guard right away, and I've got everything tucked. For BJJ, I don't want to stay here, but for MMA, I don't want to stay here either, but at least for MMA, I'm not getting punched in the head a whole bunch. Only thing exposed is really the back of my head. Okay, I've got everything tucked in nice and tight. So for deep half guard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the person's weight up on top of me, and then I'm going to roll onto my other side. So both of my arms and my legs are wrapped around one leg. Okay, so I'll show you. So I've got my grip on the belt. I've got my underhook on the leg. I'm going to bring him up on top of me, and I'm using my knees as well to bring his hips up. I grab around the leg, and then I roll to the other side. Remember, the more you practice jiu-jitsu, the more you're going to realize, don't think of it as arms and legs. Think of it as forearms. You want to use your legs like arms. You want to engage your legs all of the time. If your legs are just... person's going to be able to do what they want. Remember, in jiu-jitsu, our legs are our guard. When somebody passes the guard, it means they get past our legs. So legs are very important in jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to bring him up onto me, okay, and then I'm going to swing underneath him. So I bring him up onto me, and then I'm going to swing underneath him. I can use that as a sweep and come right up. So another thing that's really good with half guard is I think some people might call it a Z guard, don't quote me. I'm not the best with names. I've been doing this almost 20 years. And I'm not the best with names. I don't put a lot of stock in names. If the move works, I don't care what you call it. Okay, so I'm gonna get my crossface, other elbow inside. I'm gonna push him away. Now what I can do here is bring my other knee in between his chest and mine. So now if he tries to put weight back down on me, my knee is stopping him. Okay? And this is good too for keeping that distance that you created, keeping that opening. Okay? From here, a lot of times what I like to do from this knee shield or Z-guard position or whatever is try to get to the back. And the reason why I like to use this position for that is because the person's pressing into me, trying to collapse my leg down, trying to pass my guard, I can use that momentum against them. But I have to get the arm that's on the same side of the body as my feet, not on the opposite side. I have to get that across the center line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab onto it, 2-on-1. 2 arms are stronger than 1. If I just try to arm fight 1-on-1, we're just both wasting energy. But if I 2-on-1, now I can bring his arm across the center line pretty easy. As I'm bringing it across the center line, I'm going to kick my other leg straight, which is going to help me sit up. So I'm going to do this at the same time. As I bring his arm across the center line, I'm going to kick my leg and sit up at the same time. And I'm going to hug shoulder. I can grab the lapel underneath, but a lot of times I don't like to waste time for that. You know, sometimes just grabbing a quick grip is better than wasting time trying to get like a perfect grip. So I'm just gonna hug onto his lat. The key is I wanna keep my chest pressed into his shoulder so he can't get this arm back to the other side. So I'm keeping it pressed from here. Now what I need to do, and you see I haven't let go of this grip. I need to escape my hips away from his hips for their room for his hips to hit the floor when I take his back and not be on top of my hips. What I mean by that is if I don't escape my hips from here and I just pull him back to try to get my other hook in, it's almost impossible because his hips are on top of my hips. What I need to do is escape my hips away, and now I pull him over and I can get my other hook in. And because I never let go of this grip, it's right there for choking. So with this half guard sweep, it can be dangerous, especially if you're using it on somebody that's new to jiu-jitsu. So I just recommend going really slow with it when you're using it. Our hips are not meant to do this. Just like our shoulders aren't meant to go past here or past here. That's why we have Americanas, our paintbrush, and Kimuras. That's why they're such great submissions, because you're over-rotating the shoulder and the cuff, and it's painful as hell. Same thing with our hips. It's not meant to go this way. So since you are basically doing this to the person, just go nice and slow. They're gonna shift their weight to alleviate that pressure, and that's your opportunity to sweep. The reason why I love this sweep so much is because you can sweep the person in either direction. So depending on if it's at a tournament and you're right at the edge of the mat, if you sweep them to the right, you go out of bounds, you might not get the points. If you sweep them to the left, you stay in bounds, you're good to go. Same thing with MMA. If I'm right up against the cage, I can't sweep them to the right if the cage is to my right. Or if the cage is to my left, I can't sweep them to the left. So I would be sweeping them away from it. So you can pick and choose which direction you want to go. So we're in half guard here. Another little tip, a lot of times when you're trying to get your crossface, someone that's got really good top pressure, I can't get my hand in there. So there's a pretty cool way to be able to get your crossface. The only dangerous part about this is you don't want to bring your arm too far past their head to where you're in a head and arm choke situation. Okay, I never want to be here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my arm up till it's about onto his forehead, and then I'm going to start bringing my hand down to his shoulder, and then I'm going to drive my elbow underneath his neck. It's a good way to get the crossface. And sometimes I might even bridge a little bit to make some space and then come back down. Okay, once I get my my crossface, I'm going to push away. I'm going to reach underneath for that belt, and he's going to whizzer. My other hand is going to go underneath his leg and his foot. Very important. Underneath the foot. Like this. Now, if I try to pass this foot to this hand from here, it's physically impossible. Even with my 36-inch long arms, my 3-foot arms, I can't reach. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my belt grip and this grip on the foot and my knees and my legs. I want to use my legs as much as possible in jiu-jitsu. I'm going to bring him up on top of me so his hips are on top of my chest. Then I can pass his foot behind his hamstring. Pass the foot behind the hamstring. You're going to want to let go of that whizzer now. Yep, there you go. So now I can sweep him towards the camera or I can sweep him away. I have such control over his hips, his arms aren't really going to mean much. Yes, he can use them to base, but because I have such control of his lower body, if he tries to base too hard, it's going to twist his back. So chances are you're going to get the sweep. So I'm going to sweep him towards the camera. Do not let go of the foot. Keep that foot and keep the pressure on them. If I want to pass to my right, my head's going to go on the left. If I want to pass to the left, my head's going to go on the right. A lot of times what I'm doing with this is I'm passing away from the foot. That's just what I like to do because I want to keep this foot grip, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm actually going to be passing over the knee. So in order to do that, I'm going to bring my head to the opposite side. I'm keeping it low like I'm listening to the phone in his pocket. If I bring it up too high, he's going to choke me. Nice and low, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my pressure on him as I pass. Keep my pressure on him. I'm past the legs. I reach up. I grab for the head, okay? Now I'm in a good side control. Since it's gi, grab onto the shoulder material. Now I'm going to switch my legs. I'm going to scissor my legs into reverse scarf position. So basically, I was like this, now I'm like this. Okay, so reverse scarf position, make sure your legs are nice and wide so you have good base. Now I'm gonna step over my own arm and then let go of the foot. Step over my own arm, then let go of the foot. Now I'm mounted. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. Hope this can help your half guard game a little bit. Much more content coming. Keep your eyes out. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that stuff. And we'll see you on the next one.